Welcome back to SnakeFang. Today I'm with a good friend of mine that I've known for a long time.
Dustin Borge.
Yeah, I'm with Dustin today. So we've known each other for quite a while, I would say. I mean, we grew up, we weren't the same age, but basically what occurred was my brother was one of your friends. And so from that, like I met you and we started like skateboarding and had that skateboarding days and hung out a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been over 10 years now.
Yeah, something insane, right? Something crazy like that. I mean, we're here today still, like 10 years later, like after skateboarding, after being like part of that crew or whatever it was, we're here today and we're doing this podcast together. I mean, it's insane how times work, basically. But I mean, growing up with you, like I always realized that like you were a really smart guy. So I really wanted to talk to you on one of today's topics. Like, I mean, from just like being around you, like you're very intuitive, you're very knowledgeable. I mean, you graduated from college, you got your degree. You're pursuing better and bigger goals at the moment. So, I mean, you're a great person that I could talk to in regards to this kind of aspect. And I know you know a little bit about it. And I'm talking about AI technologies and automation, like in the workforce and our lives daily. Like, I mean, did you watch? So there was a documentary just came out. Did you watch that? You watched a little bit of it.
You're referring to the Do You Trust This Computer?
Yeah. So there's a documentary called Do You Trust This Computer? And I mean, watching that documentary, like my mind was blown. Like to me, it wasn't even a documentary. It was a horror movie.
It was a reality check.
Well, it was a horror movie to me. And like, it's crazy to me to like watch that. Like growing up, like I realized a lot of things. Growing up, I realized how times change and how they change rapidly. I mean, back in the 90s, like we had to use dial-up internet that took forever. It was complete ass. It like you got that ringtone on the other line, it took forever. Like the pixels on your computer were so like terrible. And now we're here like 17, 18, 20, we'll give it 20 years later. Dude, we're streaming right now on live. We're doing a live stream, doing a podcast at the same time. And like to me, that's just insanity. Like it's crazy that we're able to do that right now. Like I grew up like realizing that stuff, but when I watched that documentary, like I didn't realize like the full effect that a lot of things were going towards. I mean, did you get that kind of concept from that? Do you trust your computer?
Yeah, I think it was a little funny with like the way it opened up when one of the very first scenes was the Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and the year that it showed that it was on was 1991.
Yeah,
and it doesn't seem that long ago, but at that time, that movie was science fiction. It seemed far-fetched. However, if that were to be replayed today, it's almost more of this is our capability. Yeah. Here's what we could do. And I think that's what's scary. Like you said, it's been, just a little over 20 years and seeing something that's completely science fiction almost into like our reality now.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. And like that's the thing with this. Like speaking to a lot of people, like I just recently spoke to some of my friends, like they're like, yeah, AI, whatever. Like, yeah, that's the future. Like talking to them, they're like, yeah, we won't be a part of that. That's the future. That's this. But like specifically in part during that like documentary, like looking into it, like there was a person that was looking at the camera and he said, yeah, I get a lot of that, but that's ridiculous. No, it's not in the future. It's happening right now. All those things that you think are futuristic, all those things that you think are going to be way off in the future. No, we're doing that right now at the moment. And we're like accomplishing so much that within the next 2 years, it's going to be fully commercial. Like that's crazy to me. Like people don't realize like that it's in our lives at the moment, like everywhere, and that it's now, it's not the future.
Yeah. And I think what's funny is when you said that person said that this isn't the future, this is now, that wasn't just your typical Joe Schmo. That was actually a surgeon.
Yeah.
And the reason he was saying that was because he was using a robot to perform surgery, and someone asked him on his confidence level to perform the surgery without the robot, and he didn't even feel comfortable performing the surgery unless it was under the supervision of the robot.
Yeah, because itself. I think within that, like during that surgeon, I think he said that he does 153 surgeries, and only one of them is without a robot a year, and he said that one is the most stressful that he could ever do. He's not comfortable. It doesn't make any sense to him anymore. He's like, I don't even know how to open up a person anymore. Like, cause I mean, the computers, like, especially in the medical field, like they're so advanced and they're so capable of like doing so many things. There's a lot of minuscule things, like very tiny, like things that you have to be able to like do, and like a computer can have those very tiny pins and prongs to be able to get into those spots that like doctors opt to just use that than their hands, because I mean at the end of the day it's going to do a way better job. And I mean there was also like, and I recently read that this as well, I mean in regards to computers, like even in regards to cancer, I think it's cancer, lung cancer, something like that, like radiologist techs, it probably takes them a pretty long time to try and analyze a document and try and figure out if a person has cancer or not. And basically they were able to replicate a test where they ran like 1 million different pictures of the x-rays in front of that computer, and now that computer is able to pick up where the cancer is at immediately, like on impact. And it's crazy that people don't realize that is today. Like the person that's looking at your like x-rays, it's not a human. It's a robot. It's a computer. It's an algorithm.
Yeah, and even if you did have the human looking over it, it's still more prone to error.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the computer is perfect, but even if it was 99.999% accurate, it's still more accurate than a human being observing those results.
Well, yeah, no, of course. And the thing is with that, what people don't understand, what people don't get, like, of course, like right now you could say like computers and stuff like that aren't up to date, because what occurs with these computers is, like I said, they run like 1 million tests, 1 million upon 1 million. And then they basically, once they run all of those tests, then they fully get it. They can fully understand exactly what's going on. It still takes them time, but that time that it takes them to fully be like 99.99% correct is way less than a human developing a human brain from essentially a child up to their mid 40s, essentially. Like a computer will do it in less than a year. Well, they're able to analyze all of these functions and do all of this stuff. And then after that, yeah, they're going to be wrong during the test. By any means, it's a test. Like they're not going to be fully right, but once they're able to analyze all those differences, they're going to be able to fully be capable of implementing whatever needs to be done to the fullest, like way better than a human. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, and I don't know if you remember in that documentary is when like they were teaching the AI to do the video games, and they started out with like the really original Atari video games.
Atari, yeah.
So they had a computer start off with an Atari game. I don't know the exact name of the game, but I think
it was Space Invaders.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
And at first, it didn't know anything. It knew absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it was able to complete each course and complete the entire game just in the matter of seconds.
Yeah, in seconds.
And the way that Elon Musk was like explaining it was basically saying like, this is like having a child born, and then by like week 1, like this baby already knows calculus. Like it knows everything. Like it's just.
And you would be like, I think he said the thing was like, you would look at that baby and say, this is a dysfunctional baby. I need to take it back. Here you go.
Yeah, and like we don't think twice about it. Like we think that this is what it's supposed to do, and honestly, like it is great for our society, but there's also it serves a lot of threat to us as well.
No, yeah, and that's the thing that I wanted to get into. Like it serves a lot of threat. One of the quotes that I read in regards to the AI technology comes from Mary Shelley back in 1818, where she stated that you are my creator, but I am not. I am your master. So you are my creator. You're the one that created me, but I'm your master. So basically, we're creating these things that are far superior to us, and we don't even we don't know how we don't even know how things work. Like AI technology, like people that create AI technology, there's so many elements and it's so complicated, they don't even know. They're like, I don't know how I made this. I have no idea how this works. Like I just did it, and now it's literally smarter than me, able to do things at a way faster rate than me, and able to understand a broader range of things way better than me, and I have no idea how I did that. So like that's the same thing like with this quote. It's just like, yeah, we created it, but like they could be our masters one day. They could be the ones that essentially are overlooking the world. And so basically there was one thing that they got into was superintelligence. Do you know what superintelligence is?
I'm not too familiar with that.
So basically, the superintelligence is when AI possesses intelligence far surpassing that of the brightest and most gifted human beings. So basically, that intelligence has now far exceeded like Albert Einstein, Elon Musk, Stephen Hawking, like far and beyond. And one of the things with that is basically that will be our greatest invention that we will ever create, but it will also be our last invention that we ever create, because they will be able to do everything. Like we won't need anything ever again. And that's just crazy to me. And like with a lot of these technologies, a lot of things that you're seeing is there's good things for them. Like of course, implementing into the health field. That's a great way to use AI technology. That's a great way to implement these use cases where we can actually use them and be benefiting from them. But then there's other ways, like a lot of countries want to look into using automation in regards to defense. And that's when it gets really scary. It gets really scary in that regard, because when a computer takes over the defense system, they don't have basically the emotions that a human does. They don't have the understanding in regards to that. And they're basically looking for the most efficient way to do things, the best way to do things. And like, it's very cut and dry. Like, of course, with a human being, there's a lot of emotional connections. Like, they're looking at a lot of different playing parts. Like, how can we make it work for everyone, not just the best for us? Like, when it comes to that AI taking over, like, basically, like, they're just trying to do it the best for what it needs to be done. And like, the analogy is like, when somebody's building a road, they're trying to build that road. They just want to build that road. But if there's an ant pile in the middle of the road where they're trying to build it, are they going to move that ant pile? No, they're just going to demolish it when they build over the road. That's the same concept. Like, in regards to implementing AI into defense, like, imagine it being like ballistic missiles and nuclear warheads. Like, the AI technology is going to read like these radical groups or these very, very severe threats. They're going to be like, okay, the easiest way and the quickest way to fulfill what needs to be done is to just kill all of them, to nuke them.
Well, I think that we already have that technology, and that's drones. And it's
no, yeah.
And like, yeah, in that documentary, they said like over 80 countries have these drones.
But those drones, so
they're still man operated.
They're man operated. They're not automated. That's a big difference.
This time, but, yeah. But I'm saying, give it 5-10 years when those are fully automated. There's no emotions, and if it's told to kill something, it doesn't think twice. It's given instructions and it performs.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't have any human emotions whatsoever behind that. So it's just going to perform the task that you asked it to do.
Yeah, which is scary. And I think basically like what I was reading and what they were talking about was that at that point, once they, like, because you said, the drones right now they're quote unquote still piloted by a man on the other side, playing remote control, playing an Xbox game. Like, it's great because that pilot's not in there, so his life isn't at threat. But once it becomes automated and that person's no longer there, they're basically looking at human life's existence, and they were saying, we will no longer look at human life existence in a matter of years. It'll be a matter of seconds if AI takes over and automation takes over. And then basically they are just looking at the world of what it is. It's like, this is inefficient, because we're inefficient. And they're like, we will look at it basically in seconds. Every person's life will end immediately when the AI and the automation realizes that everything around us is inefficient. So they're just going to be like, oh, okay, here's my task to do, make everything perfect. Well, you guys are basically useless. You're inefficient. So bam, 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 bam.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's more of like a science fiction film. I don't know if that's going to be like the reality of it. Now, is it possible? It's absolutely possible, but I just don't know that it's going to play out that way.
Well, no, of course, I get that. And because the thing with that was, I mean, so back last year in August, like there was more than 100 technology leaders, like it was including like Elon Musk and Stephen Hawking, that basically signed these open letters to 26 countries' governments, like basically saying, hey, like you need to look into stopping AI technology and automation and defense. You need to ban it. You need to ban it, never use it again. Ever. Which that's where it's just like, yeah, that it's science fiction, because a lot of these people are doing that and they're like, no, yeah, well, you're right. We're going to take a step back. We're not going to really use this into our defense system. But then you have other countries that still are looking into it.
Yeah, I mean, I think with warfare, though, there's really no rules in warfare, right? Like if you're at war, like you're not sitting here. This isn't a basketball match. There's no referee telling you can't do this, you can't do that. You're at war. You're going to do whatever it takes to win. So, like, unfortunately, I know that these higher elites, they're asking for it to not work, but the government is eventually going to do whatever it is that they need to do.
Yeah, of course, but that's where it comes into a scary play. Like it comes into it's just like at the end of the day, like you don't know what's going to happen, because yeah, I understand you say it's science fiction, but so there was a segment within that documentary that I was watching where there was a robot that basically they created neurons on the robot to try and understand how to learn to walk. And so basically what they did with that robot was like they just sat it down to learn to walk. And it was able to, after a significant amount of time, was able to learn to walk. And then they cut off one leg. Like, to a human being, like, if you cut off a human being's one leg, like, that's gruesome. But they cut off a robot's, like, one leg. They're like, whatever, it's just a robot. And then it learned to limp. And then that same project, a year later, they took that robot and they were trying to show it to kids. And they were trying to, like, let the kids see how it worked, this, that, and the other, and like study it. And the creator of that basically looked back at the neurons that they implemented on the robot so that it could like learn to walk. And there was a neuron that was weird to him, and he looked at it, and basically there was a neuron on that device that was learning how to use facial recognition. And they never taught it to do that. They never implemented any code or anything for it to ever do that on that device. So when you have a self-learning thing that's so simplistic like that, that's already trying to do that there, you can also take that into the aspect where if you do an automation into defense, like I said, it's going to be self-thinking. Like, I want to take away like all the inefficient processes or this, that, and the other. And it's like, okay, it looks at that and it's like, okay, well, everything, like it's self-learning. It's like, well, all of you guys that are basically telling me to do this are idiots. So I'm just going to get rid of you guys as well. Like, that'd be the best course of action. So, I mean, you could see that happening because, I mean, right there's evidence. There's already evidence in front of us that that's happened already. And that's insanity to me. So, I mean, you say it's science fiction. I say it's more or less once the times change, like once we get to that point.
Yeah, I guess what I meant by science fiction was the whole, like, warfare of the robots.
Like Terminator. Yeah.
Now, robots eventually taking over our day-to-day processes.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
That's in the workforce now. And I think we should all be a little threatened by it. I mean, you saw McDonald's, they have a robot hamburger flipper now.
Yeah, Flippy, McJack, or whatever it is.
And so you have all these employees that want $15 an hour, and McDonald's looking at other resources, and it's a lot cheaper to implement a robot to flip burgers. It's more efficient. There's no healthcare. It's less maintenance. No one's going to call in sick. It could produce more, and it'll eventually, in the long run, it'll be a lot cheaper.
Yeah, and so yeah, like, yeah, of course, like, defense is further out there, but like in regards to like automation and AI in the workforce, like, it is now. Like, it's crazy to think about that, but there's going to be millions upon millions of people that are going to be losing their jobs because their skill set is just essentially something like it's a repetitive skill set. So like a robot can easily understand repetition and they can implement that into any way. So like you said, it's very easy for a robot to say, okay, this guy's just lifting this up, flipping it over, lifting this up, flipping it over in regards to the hamburger. So it's easy for a robot to go on and do that. And then it's also easy, like they have this robot, I think it's called Jimmy, in regards to like packaging companies and Amazon or something like that. And basically it costs around the full pay of a salaried worker in that packaging plant, maybe like $40,000 if you look at it like that. But it, at the same time, it's more efficient, and it also does the same work as like 100 employees. So yeah, you might be spending $40,000 up front on this, but you're saving $40,000 times 100. Like, that's crazy to me because it's just repetition. So that's millions upon millions of jobs that are going to be lost. Like, I have right here, basically like a report from this place called the McKinsey Global Institute was stating that by the year 2030, which we say is far away, but
it's just right around the corner.
It's right around the fucking corner. Like, more than 800 million jobs will be lost to automation. Like 800 million jobs, and that's specifically speaking around the world. So, but they stated that around 39 to 73 million jobs in the U.S. will be lost. So that's around like 1/3 of the population, something around there. Like, basically nobody's going to have a job because the other people are young individuals. They don't have jobs. So only the superior elites that have this complete, like, this skill set that robots can't literally do at the moment are only ones to have jobs. Like, how are we going to combat that? There's no way for us to even combat that unless we us ourselves look at it and say, like I said, 2030, oh, that's far away. No, you need to be like, oh, 2030, that's tomorrow. I should probably get started today and try and progress myself to understand what's going on and to be knowledgeable so that I can basically gain skills and experiences that when it comes that time, because it will come that time, 2030 is the time that they're saying 800 million. But these other jobs are going to be next year, the following year, the following year. So you need to look at it like right now and gain those skills so that you can say, okay, that's fine. I'll go do something else.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see something that's going to be like exponential growth where I don't know how accurate this statistic is or like where they got
No, it's just, it's just like, basically it's just, it's theoretical. They do take estimates. I mean, like Oxford has estimates, like, and they just try and do it on the exponential growth chart where like they're looking at it like as of right now. Because of course, like the data and information is what, 5 years, maybe 5 years old. They don't really have a lot to go on. They're just looking at the exponential growth side in regards to those years that's been going by.
Yeah, and I think like what you'll see is like maybe the first year, like you'll start to see like 2 million jobs, and then second year it'll be 5 million.
Yeah.
Third year it'll be 15. And it's going to keep growing exponential. And then by like year 10, that's when you start to see like 100 million jobs like either lost or displaced. And, you know, a lot of people make the argument that, oh, these are low wage workers and like, you know, they should have worked harder. But that is the case for like most of these things are being automated. Things that are like really repetitive, really tedious. And like eventually we could have a robot just go ahead and do it. However, the issue that I have with that is it puts all of us in immediate threat as well, because now you just displaced millions of people. So now they're going to go back to like whatever trade school, they're going to go to college, they're going to enter a different workforce. So now they're going to be coming after your jobs as well.
Yeah, well, and it's not even that. Like people say that these are low-tiered jobs, but it's not.
Yeah, I mean, we saw
like
that.
You're saying that like where the people are like saying that it's just like truck drivers. Yeah, cool, truck drivers are going to be this, or like those people doing the packaging. No, guess what? If you're an underwriter within any company, guess what? A computer can do your job. If you're a research analyst within any company, guess what? A computer can do your job. And these are high-tiered jobs. You have to have a great education and then go get certificate after certificate and experience after experience.
Well, we saw with this documentary, it was a surgeon, and he was even saying that he fears in the next 5 years he may not even have a job because eventually the robot will just be able to do everything he could do.
And the crazy thing is, like to that, in that retrospect, so like I hold this, I have a position, and at the moment, like I have to like analyze everything that I'm doing, and I have to update and input the information that I'm doing. It's more of like a repetitive thing, and I'm inputting it. And like to me, like before I was always thinking like this is just for analytics, like it's just to analyze data and try and understand like different procedures that need to be implemented to increase efficiencies or different ways of doing things and stuff like that. But after like reading up further and further into AI, into automation and stuff like that, like I finally like just thought about it, and I was thinking this is basically what's occurring is that I'm doing all of those tests, I'm doing all of that input information for the computer. Like I said, it takes it 1 million times for it to do it. So you have to input all the data. Like once we hit 1 million mark on all that input data, it's like, okay, now I have enough information that I've analyzed, that I've been able to look at on all of these things, because I'm the human, I'm inputting it correctly. So basically I'm inputting it correctly. The computer's reading that, what it is, looking at what it is. Once they've done that 1 million times, it's like, okay, buddy, like now you can leave. Thank you for helping us build our AI technology, our algorithm, our computer, and now we can actually use that to 99% efficiencies, and we no longer need you at all.
Yeah, one of the things I thought was pretty cool at my job, I actually had the privilege of working with a programmer that was involved with automating some of our work. We noticed that like a big bulk of our work was pretty repetitive, and you know we kind of made the decision that we didn't really need to keep doing this by hand. So we reached out to some programmers at our work, and like they decided that they could automate this using something that they called a bot, which is basically just a robot.
Yeah.
And I thought it was pretty cool because basically what they did was they did exactly everything that you need to do, manually.
Yeah.
And the robot just knows exactly what you're referring to. It knows, it goes based on how many clicks where you click or like what you're typing. Like it'll know exactly what you're doing, and that's all it does is just mimic what you've asked it to do.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I mean, it's the same kind of retrospect, and that's crazy. Like, it's not just in my workforce, it's all over. Like, people need to realize that it's not going to be just these low tier jobs. It's literally going to be every single job that you can think of. I mean, like I said, Oxford did a study in regards to this, and they basically laid out at this moment, they were like, within the next 2 to 3 years, there was 12 jobs at the top of the list that said 99% that this is going to be fully automated and completely taken over by computers. So like basically like data entry keyers, library technicians, new account clerks, photographic process workers, tax preparers, cargo and freight agents, watch repairers, insurance underwriters, mathematical technicians, examiners, abstractors and searchers, telemarketers. Those were the 12 that 99% that they've deduced that 99% of those jobs are going to be fully automated and no longer going to need any of those people. And I think data entry, employs 7 million people in the United States.
And honestly, so like the technology does exist to get rid of us, but at one point, we as humans need to do something as well. We can't just sit back and do nothing. I mean, like
exactly.
But the thing is, a lot of people embrace this kind of behavior, and then they get upset when their jobs are taken away, or
yeah.
But people want, anytime I go to work, people are always complaining, oh, we do the same shit every single day, this and that,
No.
But at the same time, when they finally get rid of it, then, the company could just cut you and say, that, hey, you're no longer needed. We found a more efficient way of doing this.
Yeah.
Then these people get upset because, I could have just done that.
No, exactly. And I think, so I was talking to one of my friends previously, and he was stating about something that was going on within the company that he worked, where they had a meeting and they were looking at like this basic understanding of research using different like methods through like Facebook and Google and stuff like that. And they were going to do is they were going to take all of that data and information that the people that his job was doing, and they were going to do that on a computer essentially, and they were going to use that information to analyze a multitude of things. And everyone was like, oh, thank goodness. That's great. Yeah. And I was thinking in my head, I was like, well, you're fired. You're fired. You're definitely fired. like that's crazy to me that people are just so, like, they're oblivious to the fact, like, of what's occurring right in front of them. But there are some people that aren't, but those are the very intelligent people. Like, there's a group, the Future of Life. And they were the ones that were like essentially trying to sign that open paper in regards to the robots taking over. But they were also basically, they get together and they try and analyze what's going on in life, and they try and analyze what's going on in AI. And they basically were stating, hey, look, like, we're opening up Pandora's box. Like, we're opening it up right now. It's being opened up. It's going to be hard for us to ever close it. So at the moment, what we're headed to is a damn cliff, and we're going to fall off that cliff. The humans are going to fall off the cliff. What we need to do is divert this somehow and look at it and analyze it so we can divert the path that we're going on, because AI is great. Everything's great about it. But what we're doing with it, what the companies are doing with it, what people are doing with it, it's not for the benefits of what it needs to be done. We're doing it for greed. We're doing it for
it's corporate greed. It's
exactly.
But at the same time, I understand from a corporation side that they have every right to be greedy, because the consumers are the ones that are buying it. They're the ones that are driving this. If there was no demand from the consumer point, they wouldn't be supplying it.
No, of course.
So there's a reason why they're supplying it, is because the consumers are demanding more and more automation. I mean, we have automated cars. I mean, we have automated vacuums. Like, what the hell do you need an automated vacuum for in your house?
Well, I mean, I get that, and I understand that. And that's because I've always thought this: humans by nature are lazy. That's number one thing I've always thought. I've always said that. It's basically that we've always been lazy individuals. Like, we innovate and we create, which is fantastic. Now, why we do that, for a majority of people, at the end of the day, like, they use it just to abuse it. Like, one of the things I always say is, like, back in the day, people used to wash dishes by hand. Right? Wash it by hand. It was bitch. It took forever. And then someone's like, I can just create a machine that can just wash these dishes. And it's like, all right, cool, great. And they created that. And then you just load it. It takes 10 minutes instead of like an hour or however long it takes. You put it in there and you're like, all right, great. And now you have like 45 minutes to do something significant. But you take that 45 minutes, you're like, I'm going to watch Netflix. I'm going to go play a video game. I'm just going to sit here and do nothing. You know what I mean? Like, we're just lazy by nature. And that's why you see the consumers essentially like buying into that. But then when reality hits and comes to them, they're going to be like, oh shit, what were we thinking? Why did we do any of that?
And I don't know if the people are smart enough to put the 2 and 2 together.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if they'll see the correlation.
No,
I think by the time that it's at that point, it's too late, and I don't think that they would really be able to justify how they even got there. I think it would almost be like the snap of a finger. Like, they would have no idea how they got there.
No, exactly. And that was like back in the day with the Industrial Revolution. It was just a snap of the day, and farmers woke up and they were like, what do I do? Like, what's going on? Like, now I have these machines. I used to have to hire 1,000 people to come in and to do cropping for my fields. It's like, no, we built this big tractor now.
Well, I mean, look at the automobile industry back in the day as well. I mean, like, how many people did it employ? Like, how many people did Henry Ford employ to build cars? Nowadays, I don't know if you've seen a car factory. There's people that are supervising a machine.
No, I went into one back in college, Hyundai, and like I went into one and for a class, and I'm like, why am I going into this? And it was for my statistics class, and I was like, what am I? They're like, oh, for optimization. Like, so essentially what we're looking at here is the statistics to analyze, like, what we have set up here is like this red bin down here is when we need to know when it's going to be to change things up for the robots, do this, that, and the other. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like,
I thought there was people here.
I thought some dude just banged the door on. You know what I mean? But it was literally like, it was eye opening. And I mean, like, over time, like, I've always been I've always looked into it, and I've always been intrigued and interested by AI because, like, I do think at the end of the day, I really do think that AI technology, like, can benefit us. I mean, like, in the health field, I was listening recently to an individual, and they were speaking about how, like, they're using AI and algorithms in regards to child abuse and trying to analyze that. And of course, it's biased at the moment. It's not really functional, but they're looking into using those programs so they can analyze things in regards to human nature to figure out a situation where there's known child abuse. Like, that's something great and beneficial to be using from that, or to analyze, like, when a crime might ensue or something within, like, a populated area. Like, that's great. Like, that's a great use of things, and that's good to me. But then again, like you said, like, a lot of things that we're looking at is that they're basically saying, no, we don't. Those are back burner type. Like, people are doing them, but those aren't the things that are full force. It's like, no, let's look at defense. Let's look at automating all of these jobs. Let's make people lose all of their jobs. And, like, that's crazy. But also at the same time, like, to me, I realized, like, I get it. And I understand, like, companies do that. Things are going to happen. And to me, I'm a progressive. I'm like, what you need to do is you need to realize what's going on in the environment around you. You need to look at it, and you need to say, okay, I'm going to change myself. Like, I'm literally going to change myself, change my skill sets, change what I'm doing. Like, instead of being that lazy individual watching Netflix after you do the dishes, no, I'm going to go and do coding. I'm going to go on Code Academy, which is a free source that you can learn coding. And I'm going to try and learn coding so that, guess what? When the times change, I can be the coder for these computers that are in my new company. Like,
yeah, I mean, I agree, but it would almost like you have, like, a crystal ball. Like, you can't really predict the future. Because like, even programming, who says that another computer can't tell another computer
what to do,
what to write, or what to say, or anything like that? So I feel like there's potential that any job could be fully automated.
No,
and,
of course.
No matter what you get in, whether it's manual labor, whether you're a doctor, even if you're a lawyer, there's no telling what the future holds for us.
Well, and that's the same aspect in regards to, like, super intelligence. Like, that basically at that point, it'll be like, that's the end of it all. And it'll be able to do anything. But for the time being, like, basically it's already, the Pandora's box is already open. Like, it's already there. So you might as well just progress yourself and do the best you can to keep up with it and be above it, so that when the time comes, you're not going to be basically laid off in a year. You're going to be laid off in 20 years. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you have to do that. That's the only way to survive. So why not just say, well, this is the only way to survive. So I'm going to basically, instead of watching Netflix, instead of having that beer, I'm going to say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go study Code Academy, or I'm going to study web design. I'm going to study something very technical and try and understand that, so that when the time comes in a year, I'm like, see you later. I'm going to work for this company. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. The more skill sets you have, the more diverse you are, and the more, opportunities will come your way as time progresses.
Yeah, of course. I mean, at the end of the day, like, as a human, like, would that not? I mean, like, we've been built that way as well. Like, we always want to progress. Like, we want to move forward. Like, but now you see a lot of people that are stagnated and they don't really feel that way. So I guess I can see it in that aspect. But to me, it's just like, I have like this feeling inside of me that's always just like, no, I got to do more. 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 So basically, like, I feel like I'll be fine, but I do see a lot of individuals around me that won't be fine.
Absolutely. And honestly, that's like their own downfall. Like, you don't have to be in the top 10%. You just have to be better than the 50%.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
Obviously, the more higher tiered you are, the better off you are, but you just need to be better than the majority of the people.
No, exactly. And then and to that, like, respect, also, AI is very manipulative. Like,
absolutely.
And that's what I also see. Like, people are just manipulated by it. And I don't think do you think you're personally manipulated? I don't think I am by AI.
I don't think that, but that's also like that's also like our psychologically, because like we've been around it for so long, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, like, maybe like we're psychologically, trained to not think that we are manipulated.
And we still might be. Maybe, we just don't know.
But what if you were to like get rid of anything electronic or just anything for like a full month? I think you would be a different person. Like, you would act differently. You would speak differently. You would be able to communicate with people differently. You would start to see things a lot different.
Can I also not have to have my job while I take that month off? Because I'll do that. I'll do it. But no, I fully agree with what you're talking about. But like, to me, like, I don't think like I'm necessarily like very susceptible to it. Because when I talk to people, they're like shopaholics. Like, people are like, oh, I'm a shopaholic. I just bought this on Amazon. I'm like, why'd you buy it? They sent me this deal through my email, and like, oh, dude, it's awesome. It's like, well, basically they look at and they analyze different things that you bought, and they basically take that into retrospect, and they say, oh, you bought this, this, and this. This would be also beneficial to have with this, this, and this. Here's a coupon so that you can buy this, send it to your email, and you're like, oh, let me buy. Whenever I get that, I look at it and I say, nope, don't care. I'm just going to put it in my pocket. I don't care about things like that. But a lot of people that I know, a lot of people that I see, they're like, they're very like just manipulated by it. They're persuaded. They're like, yeah, I'm going to definitely buy it right now. Great deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, people are susceptible, and like they're easily manipulated.
Yeah.
And corporations and governments know that as well. And there's a reason why we start to see like certain ads on Facebook. Like, I don't know.
Ooh, Facebook, man.
And I don't know if this is true or not. I had some friends tell me at work that they were referring to a beer, and it was Land Shark, and they had never had Land Shark before.
Wait, they referred to beer?
No, they were talking about Land Shark, the beer, right? And they didn't have their phone on. They weren't on Facebook at the time. They just had their phone in their pocket. And they were talking about Land Shark. Once again, they never had it before, but they were talking about it. As soon as they log on to Facebook, they saw nothing but Land Shark ads.
Yeah.
So it's basically Facebook was listening in on their conversations because their microphone was on. Yeah. So anytime you have your Facebook app open, your microphone's also on as well.
Well, no, yeah, I've had a few things just like that. Like, they say that it's not real, but I mean, like, I was talking to my brother about The Quiet Place the other day. I didn't look it up on my phone, but like of course, it's a newer movie coming out, and I would get that. But, I mean, I was talking about it, and literally, like, 3 minutes later, I go on Instagram, and then I see The Quiet Place. And I'm like, all right, this is a little weird.
So you were manipulated then?
I wasn't manipulated, but I didn't see it previously. Like, being the manipulated, like, taking that Cambridge Analytica aspect where Facebook used Cambridge Analytica. Well, Facebook didn't use it. Well, Cambridge Analytica used Facebook basically to understand the individuals through this app, and then take that and basically take those percentages. Like, it was on a documentary, and they like had this pie chart basically where they had like persuaders and stuff like that. And they were like, oh, we can persuade 35% of these people within this portion. And now they took this other aspect. They were like, okay, guns. And they're like, okay, within this portion of the 35% of the pie chart that we can persuade for this candidate, we can look at these ones. Okay, here's 12% that are referred to essentially with guns, and they're for guns. So what we should do is we should push out gun advertised like news articles towards those users on those direct profiles that within that 12%. And basically, like that candidate, it was Ted Cruz, was using that, and Ted Cruz went from 0% candidacy, like being able to run and being part of the Republican, right? Being part of the Republican candidates. He went from 0% to a 35% overall ranking after they implemented the Cambridge Analytica stuff into his campaign. Like that's manipulation. Like you're manipulated easily.
And see, I don't know about you, but when I first read like those articles about Facebook, I wasn't shocked at all. Like I know like maybe some people were. This seemed normal to me. And I'm not like, justifying like what they did. I'm just saying that this seemed like they've already been doing this for so long. They were just exposed, and that's all it was. It was an exposure of what they've been doing. And I guess that's why I wasn't really shocked when this information leaked.
Well, yeah, of course, but people are like, you're not shocked by it.
No.
I'm not shocked by it. You're not shocked by it. That's what I'm saying.
Because I knew this was going on the entire time. I mean, I'm glad that they were exposed. However, this has been going on for decades.
Yeah, no, of course. And like I said, that's the same thing. Like I'm not surprised. You're not surprised, but so many people are surprised by it. Like they're like completely like baffled. Like I'm being manipulated by my computer. I'm being manipulated by this, by that. It's like Google is one of the biggest AI systems that you could have, and you use it every day. It knows everything about you.
In that documentary, it actually said that Google would actually probably know more about you than your family would.
Yeah, or you. Basically, you.
Yeah.
Like, it would know more about that.
It'll probably know when you go to bed, when you wake up. It'll know, like, what you search for. It'll know, like, your sexuality, your religion. It knows everything. It knows who your friends are. It knows what products you buy. It knows where you shop at. It knows what credit cards you have. It knows everything about you. And like you said, it probably knows more about you than you even think you know about yourself.
Yeah, and it's easy for them to just manipulate. It's like, for me, so, like, if I'm a company, like take this. So I'm a company, I'm a wing company, right? I'm a wing restaurant. I'm in a certain area. So what I want to do is I want to pay essentially some kind of algorithm or a company like Cambridge Analytica and stuff like that to essentially analyze Google information in regards to individuals that love wing restaurants. They love wing restaurants. They love them so much. And now what I'm doing is basically taking that information and then saying if it's a profitable outcome for me to pay to have basically that user have that come up in their search engine. So basically now I'm on the other end and I love wings. And so I go to that area. I'm from Orlando and I go to Texas, Austin, Texas. And then I'm in Austin, Texas. I love wings. I Google best wing restaurant. And now it's not technically based off ratings. It's based off of you knowing that you are a person that loves wings. So the first top link is my wing restaurant over here. It's like, oh, sweet, I'm going to go to that. Like, of course. But that's manipulation. Like, my place is piece of shit. Like, it's terrible. Like, you should not come to my wing restaurant. You get salmonella. You know what I mean? But since I paid for that function.
Because money talks.
Money talks. I paid for that function and I paid for that manipulation. Hey, guess what? Here comes more money my way. Here comes more people because guess what? You're easily manipulated. By the way, we don't even sell wings here. It's a burger joint. So here's your damn burger. You know what I mean? But it's the same kind of concept. Like, you could easily see that being incorporated into the functions of Google. I mean, like right now you do see like in regards to ads, quote unquote, on like different search sites and things like that. You always like see populations due to your cache and cookies. Like if you search like Dollar Shave Club or something like that.
Like the airlines do.
Yeah.
It knows exactly like if you go to like, I hate going to Travelocity because it'll always like send me for the next month. If you look up one flight and it's to that city, it'll start sending you all the hotel deals within that city for like a month.
Yeah.
And it won't go away.
Yeah. Exactly. And then, or like, I'm on Dollar Shave Club, like, and then I just go to my sick MySpace page, like, go check it out again because it's still up and running. And then, like, in the top banner in that ad, you're like, Dollar Shave Club's like, what is this? How do you know what I'm looking at? Like, before, like, I thought that, like, when I was a kid and that did happen to me, I was like, holy shit.
Read my mind.
What is going on? But now I realize, like, basically it's just analyzing the past searches that you had in your history and taking, because basically, like, with the cache and cookies, all sites like are embedded into that, and they can analyze what you previously looked up. So like that advertisement's going to pop up to you. But again, that's manipulation. Like, the AI technology is manipulating you. And that's another thing, like, with this, like, don't think that AI has to be smarter than you. Like, it can just manipulate you. It doesn't have to be smarter than you by any means. It doesn't have to have all of these skill sets by any means. If it's able to manipulate you, that's still a terrible thing that could occur. And that's crazy to me. Like, I mean, manipulation is obviously like an unethical thing, but does a fucking robot care? Does AI care about any of that? No, they're just going to do it.
Yeah, well, I was on that documentary. They were talking about trying to build in human emotions to these robots, and I'm curious to know if that will change the outcome of what these robots may be doing in the future. If they do possess human behavior, human emotions, would they be able to like look at something and say like, that's not ethical, or I don't want to hurt that person's feelings? Like, can they make a judgment call based on that? If we're saying they're as smart as they are, who says that we can't implement some type of human behavior to them?
I mean, yeah, and there's an individual that was creating this robot toy that could analyze a kid's quote unquote emotions, but really it's just analyzing the facial recognition in regards to like when they're happy, the toy would come to them. When they're mad, it would go away from them. Like when it comes to like the mental stability, like when you're just like, yeah, I'm happy, dude, but really I feel like shit, but like I have a smile on. Yeah. Like, can a computer, like, can AI really read that or not? You know what I mean? And it's hard. And that's one of the things also, all of those tech gurus, they were talking about, they're like, we need to stop looking into like robotics in regards to like human features. Like, that's something that's not beneficial towards this. Like, basically what you're doing is you're creating things that eventually could take over us. And we're going to get to the point, it's like, is that a robot? Or is that a person? Yeah. I have no idea. And it's like, wait, am I a robot? Am I a person? You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. It's pretty crazy. But all in all, like at the end of the day, I'm for it. I'm not for it in regards to like what we were talking about, like with workforce and like defense. But I'm for the progressiveness of it and like trying to use it for those beneficial aspects. Like, yeah. And I'm a progressive person, so like that's a next step in society to me, and I think it's gonna make it better if we divert that path.
Yeah, and honestly, like I don't even know even if it matters if you're for it or not, because it's gonna happen regardless.
Yeah, of course,
so like even if you were completely against it, I don't really know if you could ever avoid it, unless you like fall off, the face of the earth. You go to like a deserted island, but like it will affect your life in an indirect way, even if you take it out.
Yeah, no, and I agree. But the thing with that is that, like, what I was saying is like we need to be using it for more beneficial things. Obviously it's going to be happening, but us as the people, like I'm for it, and I believe in it, and I realize it. Like us as people need to look at it and say, hey, this is happening. We need to make a change, rather than like the majority of the people now are like, oh, that's science fiction, like whatever. It's like, no, it's happening now, and we're headed for this cliff, and at the end, guess what's gonna happen? You're gonna die. Like, are you fine with that? Sure am. Like, that's the thing. Like, you need to realize, like, you need to be for it, and you need to be proactive with it and try and like divert the things that are occurring in our life today. And basically at that point, if we can get that and more and more people to realize that and do that, be proactive with it, then you could actually see that we do divert that path, and that basically AI will be for the better, be for the more positive in the coming future.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's a lot of potential for it to help people. We just need to be careful with how we use it or / abuse it.
Yeah, exactly. So, but man, that's all that I have for you today.
Well, thanks once again for letting me join. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I'm actually going to have you back on. I'm going to have you back on with Greg. Greg sucks, man.
Oh, God.
I'm going to tell you right now, Greg absolutely sucks. But I'm going to have you back on with Greg in a later episode, and we're going to talk about mortgages. It's more of
my background.
Your background, more of Greg's background. I'm a bystander. I'll do the commentary. I have a little bit of background in it, but at the end of the day, I'm about that van life, and I don't even care about a mortgage. But I'll have you on soon, man. And it's really good to have you on.
Okay, thanks, Logan. Appreciate it.
So until next time, dude. See you soon.
Okay, absolutely. Next time.
Catch you guys later.
How long was that? That was pretty good. Was that 51 minutes?
Yes, it was.